my beautiful babes and babettes. I'm your resident active advocate. How are we all doing today? I would like to sincerely apologize for my lack of upload on Friday. I get barometric pressure headaches sometimes, and it was bad on Friday. Basically, the whole day was a write-off. Thank God it was my day off, but sun up to sundown. I can be in pain when these things happen. It's not very frequent. It has to be a certain, medley of awful, the pressure has to be high and the ceiling has to be low and all this junk. Right. So, explanations out of the way. I already have a way of making it up to you, and that will be my next upload after this one. But this upload, I would like to talk to you today about a book called Rules by Cynthia Lord. So, the plot of this book concerns a soon-to-be adolescent girl named Catherine, and she is basically put in charge of taking care of her little brother, who has what you might call, quotation marks, low-functioning autism. I don't know personally, because I'm not part of the autism spectrum disorder community. I don't know whether high functioning quotation marks or low functioning quotation marks are good terms to use. Personally, I'm not entirely a fan because it creates this hierarchy of you're you still have a disability, but you're, quote, better than these people who have a disability and are, quote, worse. You know that hierarchies like that don't fly with me. So, her little brother, Catherine's little brother, is also very young, but he's capable of communicating. He just doesn't tend to use his words to express his emotions. He tends to express his emotions, and especially frustration, through throwing tantrums and oftentimes through throwing food. So when Catherine is alone with him, she has a number of rules by which he is meant to abide to make her task of taking care of him easier. The general idea is that Catherine wants to fit in with the other kids. You know, she's still young enough that this is a primary concern in her life, but that she feels that her brother is somewhat of a ball and chain, shall we say. And in light of that feeling, she creates these rules by which he has to abide in order for her to not stand out in the wrong kind of way. So, as examples, when he is frustrated, he has to attempt to articulate it without screaming, and he has to not throw his food and, throw a tantrum of that sort. But other rules would include that if he sees someone with a visible disability, for example, or someone who doesn't quite, quote, fit in to the established order of things, he's not supposed to make a big stink about it and point fingers and, say rude words and things like that, which would be the expected behavior of any child, I believe. So that rule is not, in my mind, as big a deal. But the reason why Catherine makes these rules, as I say, is because she wants to make this job of hers as innocuous as possible so that she is able to fit into her own social order and not have her brother be the thing that is like, look at me, I'm standing out, but for all the wrong reasons, and I have to babysit this child, and all of this stuff that we tend to think when we are younger and don't feel as though we fit in for one reason or another. So later in the book, Catherine meets a boy named Jason. He is a wheelchair user. And what I really like about this book is that she does find this boy reasonably attractive. And she wants to be friends with him at least. And I don't think that this book steps necessarily into romantic territory between the two, but there's definitely that tendency. So what I love about this book is that people with disabilities are not considered to be, quote, off limits when it comes to romanticism. It is not for an old enough age group to get into the physical intimacy aspect, because this book would be for YAs or even for, like middle grade or younger. So 12, 11, 13-year-old range, kind of like pre-adolescent sort of thing. But what I really love is that she wants to take Jason, the kid in the wheelchair, to prom with her. But the problem here is that she is also still in charge of taking care of her little brother. So there is, again, that tension of, I really do like this other person with this other disability, and he really likes me, and we get on like a house on fire, but I still have this bleep, bleep, bleep ball and chain tied to me. But at the end of the book, she's able to sort of reconcile these two goals of hers, to take care of her brother, because she really does care about him. It's not as though she doesn't care about him at all, versus going to the prom with this boy that she likes. And I would definitely recommend you read this book, because, as I say, it reconciles the whole people with disabilities cannot be loved. We can be friendly with them, quotation marks. We can treat them like friends, quotation marks. But there's always this sort of invisible stopping point where it's like, okay, this far and no further. Because either I am not comfortable, or society is not comfortable, or no one's given me permission. But really, in my perspective, the only person's permission you need is A, your own, and B, the other person's. That's it. This changes somewhat with a person with a, quote, again, I don't like this, lower functioning intellectual disability. The boundaries there may be different and may have to be dictated by other people. But if it is, quote, just a physical disability, a physical barrier or boundary, then really I don't see the point in worrying about what society says about, like, this is the desirable form of human being. Oh my God, can you see me rolling my eyes? Versus this is not, and this must be avoided, and all this nonsense. I don't approve of that rhetoric, and it is pretty obvious from her writing, even though it is intended for a younger audience. So it, as I say, it doesn't get into the physical aspect, but Cynthia Lord, it would seem from her writing, tends to approve more of letting these boundaries go and letting ourselves be with the people who we actually want to be with, regardless of society's barriers, which are all arbitrary and are all made up. So in order to advance as a society, and I'm going to actively advocate for a moment here, we need to let go of these arbitrary boundaries that keep us apart from one another. Okay, because there's no other way than through love, understanding, and acceptance to become bigger, better, harder, better, faster, stronger as a society. Letting more people in means that society, in quotation marks, gets bigger. And isn't that better for everybody involved? Thank you. All right, so that is Rules by Cynthia Lord. And I have a minuscule gag reel for this video that I can also upload as my recompense for not having uploaded on Friday. So enjoy. I hope you are entertained, at least for a few seconds. And I will see you all tomorrow to talk about another book. I gotta pick which one. I know what books I have on my list, but I just don't know which one I want to do next. So that will be fun for everyone, including me, as I get myself organized. All right, so I will upload this and upload the gag reel, and I will see all y'all tomorrow. Mwah!